Hey, what's going on, everyone? Vega here for SerpentX Tech, and in this video we'll be talking about the Chia clawback function, a very useful feature, but not always necessary depending on what you're trying to do. I could see some great use cases, but in my situation, in my experience, I was an idiot, and I try to use it while trying to swap Chia for another cryptocurrency when interacting with a DEX or an exchange, and that's not always going to work, especially if you use it inappropriate. So we're going to talk about what the clawback function is, but also I have a dummies guide on step-by-step process on how to recover your funds if you really needed to do so, like I had to in the end. First off is the GUI, right? So inside the GUI, always make sure it's up to date. There was a fork that just happened, depending on when you're watching this video, and you just want to be on version 2.1 or higher. I just need to update to the latest and greatest, which I will be doing shortly. But the clawback function is only going to show up in the send section. So you want to go to your tokens tab on the left and then click on the send section. And if you scroll down here, we got to put in the address or contact, the amount of Chia we want to send, and then we could adjust the fees accordingly. But at the very bottom, you see add option to clawback transaction, as well as adding a memo. Well, clawback transaction allows you to set a time frame in which allows you to claw back or revoke a transaction. Similar to what we've seen before with like MetaMask or Phantom, right? If you send funds, or maybe you're compromised or whatever, if you act quick enough, you can revoke those funds from being spent by the bad actor or whatever. Or maybe you did send funds incorrectly and you just want to revoke spending on that asset. Similar to that, but a little bit different, Chia implemented inside their GUI. The memo section, just want you to know that if you did add a memo, that the entire blockchain will be able to see that memo. So don't go putting your phone number or putting anything proprietary or personal in your memo, but it can be used by the person receiving the funds or whatever, or the transaction, to identify what is related to, so on and so forth, payment for XYZ, yada, yada, yada. But the clawback function is very neat. Recipient of the transaction can only claim the funds once the time frame expires. I used it incorrectly, and I try to use Swapspace, one of my favorite websites to use to exchange from one currency to another. I will leave a link down in the description, but just know that it does provide a kickback to the user's referral, that link that I've been using, which is Crypto Mikel. But you can choose a cryptocurrency, and depending on the cryptocurrency, what they're doing is they're facilitating the best path for you to get what you're trying to do. If you're trying to swap Chia to Solana, or Chia to Ethereum, or Chia to whatever, it will tell you. It might be a DEX, right? A decentralized exchange. It might be a centralized exchange. It might be some other form of Web3 DApp or DeFi protocol, but it gets you the best rate, and it's just a facilitator. Swapspace is not an exchange itself. It's just getting you the right path, or the best path, depending on the fees, the wait time, so on and so forth. And that wait time is important, right? The ETA, that's why I'm bringing this up, is I only had about 45 minutes to complete this transaction, but I couldn't because my dummy self put in a time frame. And so what happened is the transaction expired, the funds never was received by Swapspace or whoever, and so the transaction never really completed. Then the funds were just sitting there in limbo, and you can actually see it in this little dip right here, where I started off with 28, I fell down to 20 because I sent 8 Chia, and then I got back up to 28, but I had to figure it out. And it was thankfully to a little bit of research and some of the community members in here. We're going to go ahead and give a shout out to this individual's name. I do not want to pronounce it in case I mess it up, but this mod was very helpful, pointed me in the right direction, and so I made a step-by-step dummies guide. Now, you're going to be using PowerShell, and it does require some CLI or command line interface, but it's very simple to do. First thing I want you to do is find out where that transaction is. So if you can find that transaction, which you can do in your wallet, if you go to your summary section under your Chia wallet and say search, you can probably have to expand the amount of results you get on the summary page, but I can go find the amount, right? So Chia over here on the right tells me the amount of Chia sent on that transaction. I'm just looking for one specific one, and that's where I sent 8 Chia to Swapspace. And so on the transactions, you can get the block height. That might help you out sometimes. Like if it says clawback still, you might be able to get the transaction ID or hash, and you just need to go to your block explorer. Like every other blockchain project out there, you should be able to use the explorer to find it. Just depends, you know, privacy ones, you can't search by address. You have to search by other means. In this case, we could use the address, the transaction hash, or the block. We put in the block and we find the transaction right here. right? And so we just need to hang on to the transaction hash, or what some people call the transaction ID, which is over here on the left-hand side. So in this case, 8 Chia, 18 days ago, this is it right here. We're going to hang on to that. And now we're going to go to our system that has Chia installed on it. And we need to navigate to the folder. And it's not your normal folder. Like what I mean by that is if you go to the Chia icon on your desktop, right click, open file location, it's not this folder. We got to go deeper than that. We got to go into resources, app.asar.unpacked, Daemon, and then this is the right folder we need to be in. If you click at the top here in the URL bar or the address bar for your file explorer, that is the correct location. And the most important thing is your username, right? I have all the commands for you, but you need to swap out the username. So we want to open up a PowerShell of some type, right? So you just go to your start menu, search PowerShell. It might come up in blue, it might come up in black, depending on how you have your system set up. But this is what we want to be in. And then we need to navigate to the folder I just talked about with the cd command or change directory. And I have, again, the commands and everything laid out for you in this Discord message, which I will have linked in the description so that way you can access and follow along. Once you navigate to that area, we now need to set the alias. We're basically telling the platform or the program we're using that the Chia name is referencing this directory. And you just, again, replace where it says your username with your machine's username. When you do that, you want to make sure that you have the right wallet. Choose wallet if you have multiple, check GUI, and under the tokens tab, you will see the wallet is in the top left area. What I'm talking about here is if we go to the GUI wallet, in the top left, there's a number associated with this wallet. If you have multiple, just know which wallet is the one you want to focus on, the one that you want to claw back funds. You'll actually see this number in there when you do the command. Once you know what your wallet actually is or the number, if you are prompted to select a wallet, just select the right one and then do Chia wallet get underscore transactions dash clawback. Then you will see the transactions, and now we need to create a JSON file. Call it the clawback.json and put it in that same directory. What I'm referring to is that folder. You can see there's a clawback.json. What I actually did is I put it in the Daemon folder, or right underneath the Daemon folder, as a normal TXT document. Right click, new, TXT doc, and then you put in the command, right, which I do provide to you right here. And then you can save as and save it as a JSON instead of a TXT file. So just copy, everything from here into gray as a command, you can copy and use. You just need to change your username for some of them, or change in this one the transaction hash. So if we go back here, we paste this in here, we just need to go get that transaction hash, which comes in handy because we already looked it up before we started this. So we copy it and we go ahead and put that in right here. And now we're going to do file. Make sure there's no extra spaces or anything like that, like I did just now. Now you do file, save as, and then give it a name. In this case, you can name it whatever, but in this case, I want to save it in the same directory that I have all of this in. And that's going to be right here under the Daemon folder, okay? So you can see the clawback.json's right there. But if we save as, go to that folder, new document, and just say .json instead of letting it auto-select and make it a TXT doc. Now when I save it, you'll see a new JSON item right here. Now you could use that title if you really need to, but just call it clawback.json, make your life a little bit easier. And now we can move on to the next part. To run this command, chia rpc wallet spend underscore clawback underscore coins space -j space clawback.json. And when you do that and it's successful, you will see success true. Transaction ID will give you ID right here. If it's a failure, it will say success false and not output any transaction ID. But that will allow you to claw back the funds if it is stuck. And I'm seeing a lot of people, when I looked online during this research, a lot of people experiencing that, where they are having issues clawing back funds through the clawback feature. Maybe some other updates will fix it. But I don't think it's an issue with Chia. I think it's just an issue of some users, including myself, not using the function correctly, right? If I wanted to do this or use the callback function, I think it would be best applied if I'm interacting with an individual or business or enterprise, not when I'm interacting with DeFi, dApps, Web3, or DEXs, or even centralized exchanges. You can add a memo. Some exchanges do want a memo on the transactions, but clawback is not necessary for those type of situations. However, I am very interested in the future of Chia, and especially since the hard fork, by the time you're watching this, either happened or is about to happen, and the future upgrades and possibilities that Chia will bring to us in the future. Either way, that's going to do it for today's video, so do me a favor on the way out. Hit the like button, make sure to get subscribed, hit the notification bell to stay up to date, as well as check out additional links in the description. That'll support the channel and what we do here, and if you have any issues trying to follow along my steps, you can find me on Discord on our server or through our favorite comrades or colleagues, different Discord servers, Twitter, wherever. I try to do my best and respond to some of your YouTube comments, but I can't always see through all the noise. So either way, let us know. Hit us up in the comments. One of us will try to help you out. Otherwise, find me in Discord, Twitter, wherever it might be, and we'll try to lend you a helping hand as soon as we're available. But you all have yourself a wonderful day. Take care. I'll catch you next one.